This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. Let's start the session. So, anybody wants to explain this performance life cycle? Anybody want to give a try? What is performance life cycle?
I can try.
Yeah, go ahead.
Performance testing life cycle is similar like normal testing life cycle where we get the requirements. It just the difference here is the requirements here are non-functional one. Like what would be the response time, and then after gathering the requirements, we create the test plan, or we can say the test strategy, and then we start designing the scripts and design the scenarios, and then goes the execution, and then whatever the defects we get, we log them, and then we prepare the test plan and the final like test exit report, and that's it.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody wants to add anything apart from this?
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
in the performance test lifecycle was having 5 stages. First one is the non-functional requirement gathering and analysis. In that phase, they are preparing one of the document, NFR document. Based on this document, we are doing the
Mhm.
second stage. In that stage, the test strategy and planning. They are preparing some of the plannings for this document. Based on that planning, test plan. In the test planning, as part of workload modeling is there.
Okay.
After test planning, they are designing that based on the test planning, they are designing that designing and development in that by using the script. Here they are
Mhm.
preparing the some of the scripts. After creation of the scripts, test execution will be started. After stage, they are preparing some of the results. The results are any errors are occurring, it going to the bottlenecks. After if the bottlenecks verifies, then it goes to the analysis phase. Final reports will be they will give.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Good. Yeah. So, I mean, all the definitions are correct. Only it's a process, but let's try to understand it in a different manner. Okay. So, let's say
Okay.
today I bought a new cloth. Okay, and I want to get it stitched. I want to get it stitched from a tailor. Okay, so I went to one of the known tailors in my area. Okay, and I gave it that cloth to him. Okay, that I want to get my clothes stitched. Okay, now this is a new material which is not even available in India, let's say. Okay, I bought it from outside India, and it requires a little bit special type of stitch. Even the way you stitch also is little bit different. Okay, so what will you do with the tailor? What will you ask him first? That this is the cloth that I want to stitch. How are you going to able to stitch? So what are the set of questions that someone can ask? So I will be asking, okay, uh, first of all, I'll be asking that can you do this type of stitch, or I have this cloth. So what are the options that I have, right? So you'll be asking for the sets of options that the tailor can give you. So he will give you one pamphlet. He will give you one pamphlet. In that pamphlet, you can look at the different type of clothes that can be that tailor can stitch. In a similar way, if you look at it, uh, in our performance testing life cycle, that's why we have to give a performance testing walkthrough. You can think of it the same way that whenever someone new is coming up, okay, before even starting, we are seeing the clothes, we can tell them that, see, this is our capabilities, this is what we can do. Okay, now once stage has shown, okay, these are the type of stage that I can do, he'll be asking that, ma'am or sir, can you please give me that piece of cloth? I want to check it. I want to check it that whether I'll be able to stitch it or not. Okay, whether I'll be able to stitch it or not. So this is what initial stage. If it's, let's say, new entirely new project is coming up, sometimes you take little bit of time for doing the POC also. Okay, so you want to understand whether that application you will be able to test it or not. So when we are saying that we are understanding the architecture of the application, you are doing the same thing. Okay, now this all comes up as a part of, so you will not see those things getting shown in this test plan, because everything has been clubbed as a non-functional gathering requirement. Now from a tailor perspective view, that what he is doing right now, he is gathering all this information, he's showing you the catalog basically, if, or different types of options that he can stitch. He's asking all the questions, he's asking all the questions that how much it will cost, basically costing wise, material wise, uh, design wise. Okay, and he's doing some kind of agreement between you. Okay, that ma'am or sir, that I'll be giving you this cloth within 3 days, within 6 days, within 10 days, whatever will the time. All the initial agreement, okay, between the customer and the between the customer, or you can think of or the customer and the client, basically all the agreement, all the finalization, not on a higher level, but yeah, high level commitments are happening at this stage. That is why, in a similar way, when we are doing a professional project, when a new project comes up, okay, whenever a new project comes up as a part of our non-functional requirement gathering, we have to ask all the questions. We have to understand the application. We have to understand that whether the existing tools that we have in our team, whether this testing of this application is possible or not. If that is not possible, or let's say testing and monitoring, okay, if it's not possible, how can we do it? Does it even possible or not to execute this project with the existing sets of tools that we have? And once that is I mean that is collected at this stage, next thing that we have to check with the that your manager basically will be checking, that do I need this 10 information, are you able to provide me that? So let's say that you want to get this cloth stitch for your cousin or somebody else, and he's not even there, so you don't have the proper measurements, you cannot proceed, right? In a similar way, but still he if he can okay, it's 8 years old, this is how the size should be, and you can give him go ahead. So these are all the things that happens in our non-functional engagement requirement. In the way you can think of a tailor, that he has to do, so he has to take that cloth, he has to start with the process. So what are the basic information that that the that the tailor will be asking, basically head tailor, okay, will be asking to a customer. Similar way, in a professional project, what is the nature of the application, whether the existing tool will be suffice to do the testing or not, what are the business scenarios, what kind of what component needs to be tested. So when I'm saying that, okay, I want my MFS application needs to be tested, so what are the component are you trying to check? Are you just trying to check the register merchant, okay, or are you just trying to fee and taxes? Which particular component you want to check? All this documentation, okay, all this documentation will happen in non-functional requirement documentation part. This is what documentation, but analysis is all about understanding the application, understanding the feasibility, whether it is possible or not, showcasing them, the walkthrough that we have, that is also a part of this. It's all been clubbed in a single bucket, I would say, in this chart. But all these things, different things are happening at this stage, and a SOW is signed, SOW statement of work, basically, in which it's not finalized. Mostly it get finalized after strategy, okay. So you but yeah, at this stage, it starts taking the shape that, okay, these are the things that we'll be doing, we'll be recording this many stores. That's why if you look at it, at this stage, test manager is written, right? The reason test manager is written over here is because, again, as a head tailor, he knows the capability of the resources that he has in his shop, and the resources that are working in his shop, that whether they are capable of doing the stitch or not. In a similar way, your manager is aware of all the things, okay, and he is aware of the all these things, so he can do the commitment. And even so, people like, let's say, but it's not necessary that you say that, okay, manager is doing all the information, gathering all information, doing all, driving all these meetings. So as a performance tester also, you can also contribute in this session. But yeah, final go, you can work on a draft document, but the final go will be from your test manager. And manager only, leads also don't take on the call on this. Managers is the final person who will take the call. Okay, so in a similar way, let's say the head tailor decided that, okay, I can work with this, the cloth that has been given to me, I can work with this. But what will he's a head tailor, he has to look after the shop also, have multiple projects, like we have multiple projects in our like company. In a similar way, the manager cannot start working on the things in his own, so he'll be delegating the task to the junior tailor who is basically managing all the tailors which are working on the bench. In a similar way, he delegates those tasks to your lead. Okay, and the junior tailor has the work to distribute the work. Okay, he has to plan because there are a lot of orders in the shop. He has to plan that, okay, this particular guy is working on something else. So and all of the right now all of them are occupied, so this might take 2 days, this might take 3 days. Okay, in a similar way, he has to set up the timelines, he has to set up the work lines that, okay, these people are working on this task, it will take another 3 days to stitch. By this date the cloth will be given to the customer. Like that, all this planning that is happening, or the strategy that how he is going to execute, how he is going to make sure that by this certain date all these clothes will be stitched. In a similar way, in a performance testing project, we have to do a strategy and planning. So what are the things that can go in a strategy and planning? First of all is environment. How to, so by what time we will get our environment, by what time we will get our scenarios finalized, okay, by what time your scripting will be done, by what time you will be starting the execution, by what time your execution will end it, by what time you will be needing for your analysis, okay, and then by at what time you will share the result, or test will be concluded. Let's say there are interval, you have to keep the breathing space, considering that, let's say, the first round of testing has failed. Okay, so you have to keep a buffers in the test plan, saying that, okay, it can span out also depending upon the results of the first round of testing. Okay, so all these things, I mean, what are the activities that you can think of it as a part of your performance testing project? Everything needs to be documented at this stage, and you have to plan with a tentative timeline. It needs to be get approved at the client. Okay, client or teams also. So whosoever for you're doing the testing, this used to be get approved from that. Okay, you cannot say that, okay, I will start the testing by another in next 3 months, and and I will take another 6 months to do the testing, right? You cannot say like that. Okay, so this all this non-functional agreement comment, this needs to be also happens in agreement with the client, that whatever you are documenting, whatever you're writing, you have to get it you have to get it verified from the client, that, okay, this is what I have gathered, just see whether it's correct or not. If any corrections are required, so that needs to be made. So you will see when I will show you the NFR document in the first sheet. We document that how many stages went. So first stage is always a draft document which is prepared by the manager. Okay, and the next iterations will keep on happening as the changes are happening after the discussions that are happening. So this NFR gathering doesn't happen finalized in single meeting. Okay, it usually take 4 to 5 iterations of or 4 to 5 meetings to finalize. Same goes for strategy and planning. This will take 2 to 3 meetings to finalize, to sync all the teams, because we are when we are saying that, okay, I need the environment, and at that time the build should be stable. Okay, the build that has been given to us for testing, that needs to be stable. Then the environment, the which is given by DevOps team, let's say, so they should be able to create the environment and create a stable environment. Then we have to check the sanity. That means whether my environment is stable, I can do the flows, that is for which the application is accessible. From that, the application is working, there is no functional challenges. Okay, whenever we are getting a project in a performance testing, it's been manually tested and automation testing is been done on that. The build is stable. As a part of performance testing, we are just working on their optimization part. Okay, so test strategy and planning happens once that is done. Now this in this one, because we are showing the client, and we we give them a tentative deadlines, like 1 week, 2 week it will take, but your test plan will be much more detailed. Okay, much more detailed, that at what date you will have your. So we are saying that, okay, we need 1 week for our execution. Okay, we need 1 week for our execution of our load test, or let's say for 2 weeks or 3 weeks for our execution of our all the three tests. Okay, but your test plan is not like that. Okay, test plan is a very detailed plan sheet, in which you will mention the timings, you will mention at what date you will execute in a test, by what date you have to specify the dates. In this one you can work with the weeks. Okay, but you cannot but in a test plan, I'll show you. Let me get a clarity. So this is a test plan, if you see. So where Okay, we are talking about the strategy, so we have to, this all been finalized, so we'll be talking about the strategy that we'll be employing, and then at a high level test plan. So if you look at it here, we are not giving the exact dates that okay, by this date it will final, we are talking in weeks. Okay, but if you look at the your if you look at the test plan, it's much more detailed. Here we are talking about the exact date, planned date, finish date, completion date. It's an actual document in which we'll be specifying that even the smallest activities we have to document over here, that we'll be doing as a part of our performance testing. Okay, it's much more detailed. Okay, and on the beside only they have written workload modeling, so by this time we have all the information. Okay, so think of a tailor that okay, he has done the planning that okay, this particular guy is going to stitch it. Okay, now the tailor, the who is actually supposed to work on that cloth, now he has to execute the task. Okay, and he has all the information, like he has the NFR document which his master tailor has acquired, and he can now do a measurement. Okay, these are the measurement has been taken, now he will mark all the he will do all this marking on the cloth, and then he will start cutting it, and then he will start doing it. So now as a performance tester, you're someone who is like 1 to 5 years of experience, I mean, who is working on a performance testing task, we'll have to start taking the information from the NFR, the way we take information from the NFR, and start changing it into performance testing term. Let's say how much TPS will be requiring, how much pacing that we need to do, creating the scripts basically. So by this date in our workload modeling, we have the scenarios that we need to test. Okay, we know we will be knowing okay, these amount of load, this much amount of load that I need to put in. Okay, and this is how I'm going to do the execution. Okay, so workload modeling will be all the calculation that needs to be done, that will be done at this stage. And once that is done, we will start look at the test design and development basically. So how I'm going to cut the cloth and all these are all happening at the tailor level who is actually executing the test. So I need to execute a load test, so this is how I'm going to execute a load test, this is how I'm going to execute a scalability test, this is how I'm going to execute a soak test. Okay, and then creating the scripts creation. Okay, and once script is created, we have to do a smoke test. So let's say what is a smoke test, we say that before execution we have to do a small smoke test. You can just think of it that if I'm not sure, the tailor is not sure whether if the cloth will hold the this, but the thread that basically he's using, he's not sure whether it will be a good match, so he will cut a small piece out of it, and he will just try it out. Okay, so in a similar way, once we have all the scripts are ready, and before having actual execution load test, we have planned that okay, on Saturday we'll be executing a load test at 700 hours. Okay, but before, I cannot have that okay, my scripts are working fine in my local machine, let me just go and execute directly. No, you have to do a small smoke test. So you have your LGs. Okay, you have to set up a small 10 minutes 20 minute scenario and just execute it. Okay, to weed out all the errors, so you will be knowing okay, when I'll be executing a test at tomorrow, there will be no error. As far as from the performance testing point of view, let's say there's some proxy issues, so LGs, I mean, from the LGs, the application is not accessible, or some space issue. It can be anything. Okay, it can be anything which is happening from the LR side, that needs to be weed out. Okay, that need to be removed. So in order to remove all those things, we have to do a small smoke test. Once that is all done, we are sure that okay, my scripts are working fine, they are working there the way it is supposed to. We will start moving to the actual execution. The similar way, tailor will start stitching the clothes similarly. Okay, so we will do the text execution. Once that is done, we will prepare the results, whatever our findings are. So uh, let it be, I mean, as response time is there, plus if we have a APM tool, so you'll be analyzing all the errors, will be analyzing all the systems, and if you find anything that needs to be highlighted, that is not correct, that is not tuned, you have to highlight that, and all things needs to be documented and present to the client. Okay, so test result analysis and then test report finalization. Now let's say that I went to the shop the day the tailor has told me. So by this, the client knows, okay, by this week I will get my test report, I will get my testing done. Okay, so we have shown the results to the client, and the client is not happy. Now let's, if you think from a from an analogy point of view, I went to the shop, I saw the clothes, and I have certain concerns. So I didn't like the stitch first of all, because the commitment, the photos, basically the whatever the catalog I've seen in the catalog, it doesn't match like that. It doesn't match like that. Okay, it can be the size. I mean, the size measurement that I have given, it's not fitting me anymore. Okay, it can be anything, or I mean, you can take the client, you can obviously, so we have signed the SOW similar way that master tailor has done the commitments to us. Master tailor has done a commitment. Okay, it will be like this is measurements, he has taken all information. Now I'm not satisfied with the product that they have delivered, so I can ask them, no, this is not good, get it fixed. So in the similar way, the client will ask all the respective team. It's not that they will say that the results are not satisfactory. Okay, get it fixed. So as a performance team, we can give recommendation. Okay, performance team, if you have a dedicated environment, let's say a dedicated environment has given to you, usually you are lucky enough you get it, but a lot of times you will have a shared environment. That means, what I mean by shared environment, one environment only is being used by the development team for certain hours, then for testing purpose they will give you for 2 3 hours in which you have to test the application, and then again it will went to the other DevOps team for rehearsal, deployment rehearsals, all those things will keep on happening in that environment. So you have a small window. Okay, you have to get your test executed in that. So you don't have much control in order to what you are doing in the environment. Okay, but let's say you have a dedicated environment, so you have the uh, freedom to do the changes. Okay, and let's say if that is not there, but all the recommendations, still you have found the issue, but you have to give them a recommendation that if we change these things, that might improve the performance, and you have to get it tested. And it is not the sole responsibility of the performance team to fix the environment. You have to involve all the stakeholders with the findings that you have. So you have to involve the application team, you have to involve the DevOps team, you have to involve the DB, you have to involve all the respective teams which is there managing the system, and you have to showcase your findings and work on the resolution. Okay, you have to work on the resolution for the issue that you have identified, and after implementing all those changes in the similar way, all the concerns that I have, the master tailor has taken it. He knows how to fix those issues. He will take a note of it, and he will pass it to the tailor and say, please get it fixed, do these changes. In a similar way, after discussing with all the stakeholder, uh, we'll be doing the changes. Okay, we'll be doing the changes on the environment. Okay, we'll be doing the changes. Let's say if it's a code fix, that code fix will be implemented. If it's a hardware level configuration changes, we will do hardware level, we'll get the hardware level configuration changes, and then we will test again. Okay, we will test again. So if you look at it, bottleneck analysis, it's basically, so the client can ask. So tomorrow you cannot go to the customer, you cannot go to the tailor, say that I want this thing. So the tailor will say that, sir, ma'am, we have not discussed, we have not agreed on this. You have said that, okay, you need these three things, and I have delivered these three things. Okay, in a similar way, in a performance testing projects, we have signed as SOW, and or in a performance gathering we are documenting. Okay, so if I show you the NFR document. Okay, we will see this tomorrow, but on a high level, if you see, these are the documentation that we're doing. Okay, in a load test, these are the 5 metrics that I'll be testing. So in terms of load test, I will certify that, okay, 30 users, when the 30 users is there on the application, it will all these SLA, that the total number of transaction failure will be less than 3%, or the response time will be below 5 seconds when all the 30 users are active. Okay, and in an hour, 100 transaction will be performed and there will be no failure. Okay, on a server side, the CPU utilization, the memory utilization, okay, will not go beyond 10%, or whatever the metric that we have discussed during our NFR gathering. We have we The customer can hold us accountable at this stage. They cannot come at this last stage saying that okay, 5 seconds is good, but can you please do the changes and make sure the response time is below 2 seconds? No, that cannot happen. So you have to pull this document and you have to show it to them that okay sir, this is not what we have discussed. In a similar way, tailor say that we have not discussed this initially. We had a agreement on these 10 things. I have delivered these 10 things, but you cannot ask me to do those changes. Let's say that you are being too much pushy, that okay, no, I need this change, I need this change, I need this particular type of style in my clothes, it will look better. So the if you push them too hard, they say okay fine, I can do it if it's possible. Condition is that it should be possible. If it's possible, so you have to they will ask okay, you'll be charged more. In a similar way, at this stage, let's say you have done the changes, okay, you have to keep doing the changes. You have this process of doing the having discussion with finding out the issues, having a discussion with all the stakeholders, doing the recommended changes on the environment, and testing it again. This will keep on happening until you reach all of these KPI points, basic key performance indicators. And until unless you don't come to this point, I mean you don't satisfy this point, you cannot close this project, so once, let's say this we have met all these KPIs, okay, we have met all these KPIs, and we are good to close the project, we can submit the report. But the client is saying no, I want further testing, I want further testing of the component. There is one more additional component which we have deployed, and that was not discussed in the initial stages. So if you look at this NFR document, yeah, so these are the 5 scenarios that we'll be testing, okay. And they say no, no, I want one more scenario that needs to get tested. So they say let me add that scenario. So you have to ask them no, that cannot be possible, that will require another efforts. So you have to create the scripts, right? You have to create the script, you have to do the workload modeling, then you have to execute the test, you have to find the issue, that will take an extra efforts. So if the client is being too insistent, you have to tell them that the effort calculation that has been done. So by this stage, when we are designing the SOW, as a part of SOW, you sign the efforts that okay, I'll be requiring this much amount of efforts. Okay, that's why I said when you are doing performance test strategy and planning, at that time SOW gets signed, because by this time you have a good clear picture that okay, the project will get executed within 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So you can do a calculation around that, saying okay, I'm needing 3 resources to execute this process by the end of Feb, like that, and you can code them that much. Okay, but let's say the client is saying no, I want to get research, extra efforts needs to be put in. Okay, and once that everything is been certified, clients is certified, all the KPIs are met, we can close this project, as we will have submit our final test report, and we will close the project. And okay, so if you now we got a good clear picture that what is happening in a professional life cycle. It's not that they are steps, they are just steps that people have defined. These are well logical steps. Okay, I find it them very logical, that if you skip one step, you will be stuckling at the next step basically. Okay, so if you don't create a proper strategy that how you're going to test the plan, tomorrow client will be asking that the testing that you have done, I mean the way you have doing the testing is wrong. They can say that. So you have to tell them that okay, in the initial stages I have told you that what is the strategy that I'm going to employ. Okay, how I am going to do the testing, I have already stated to you, I already got a confirmation from you. So you cannot question me at that point of time. Planning, without a high level planning, you cannot do the effort calculation. Okay, test plan is very important in order to execute all the dates. So you, let's say you are supposed to execute a load test at certain date and your environment is not ready, so you can start escalating it. So test plan is very important. Script development and design, that okay, once you have all these things, I mean this can go hand in hand. Once NFR is there, you have the scenarios, you can start working on that uh, skill development part. But testing and all that needs to be done, smoke test that needs to be done before the test, and once all the scripts are ready. So in some project the scripting is easy, okay, for my fast manner. Some scripts are very easy, and some scripts take little bit of effort. So usually we take a week, okay, we usually take let's say if it's like two skips, so 1 week is more than enough to script it, no matter how difficult they are. But it depends upon the script, so you have to start them in parallel. Okay, so let's say by NFR gathering you got most of the stats. Okay, and then you can do a small script development. You can check whether the scripts are how much effort they are taking in order to develop one script. So by this time, let's say you found that okay, one script is taking 1 week. Okay, so you can highlight that to the client and get that extra timeline added in your test plan, saying that the script development is little bit tricky, so that it's taking a week for me to develop the script. So accordingly, you can add those extra timelines in your project. Okay, now if you look at it, the responsibility that has been highlighted over, so test manager. Why test manager? All the things that are you being held accountable are getting decided over this stage. That's why your manager is involved at this stage. Okay, now test planning, because manager is you, if it's a manager who's working dedicatedly on a single project, he might be involved in all these stages. But usually a manager happens multiple projects. Okay, he has to overlook the multiple projects, so he'll be delegating those activities to your test leads. Okay, so your test leads will be taking care of all this planning and strategy. Okay, they'll be taking care that how the things will be executing in your team. Okay, and test performance test specialist, or you can think of as a performance tester. Okay, they are one the same thing. Specialist is someone who is like has a high expertise in script development. Okay, so he is working on this workload modeling, test script development, text execution. Okay, now if you look at the uh, analysis part, okay, here performance engineer is written. Okay, now what happens is that when you're working on a project, let's say today I'm working on a Java technology. Okay, I know that okay how to tune the JVM metrics. Okay, what are the possible errors can come on the performance issues are there on a Java application. Okay, so I have that knowledge with me. Let's say tomorrow I went to another project, .NET project. Okay, so I'll be having a good expertise on a .NET application as well. Tomorrow I went into a microservices. Okay, so I'll be knowing okay how testing are done is in a microservices process, or what are the main components that needs to be tuned, or the challenging area are there in a microservices project. So you after working so this knowledge that you have, that can come in two ways. Either you learn it. Okay, you learn what are the, I mean, you work on a different projects which will give you a practical example, or you learn different technologies, keep updating yourself with the time, and see what are the components that I mean it's been getting tuned all over the place, right? So it's the information is there in public domain also, or you can do some kind of training also that okay let's say that today you're working on a Java application. Okay, the most common thing is GC usage can happen. Okay, so in order to understand, in order to tune that, you need to understand what is GC, right? How you can do the tuning, how to decide okay what should be the size of the heap. Okay, all these things either you can learn it, or it will come with the experience. When you're working on a project, you have, let's say, working on project application team did some iterations. Okay, they did some iteration, after that you got a good value, so you have that real time knowledge with you. So that's why a performance engineer hiring, you will also see that it usually from 6 to 7 years, because by this time you have worked on a lot of projects, you have worked on a lot of projects, so you have a good knowledge. Now this can happen with the team efforts as well. Okay, this can happen as a team effort, so it's not necessary that okay you need to have a dedicated in your performance engineer or a team who is basically has a good knowledge, working knowledge of the technology, and can have worked on a multiple technologies. No, it is it's also possible that you're working in a team. So let's say 2 3 members, you have a group of people, you can have a discussion with the managers also, he'll be also involved, that okay these are the findings, before even sending it to the, let's say you have done your analysis, you have gathered all the stats from Dynatrace. Okay, so even before when going to the application team, okay, even before going to the application team, you can have an internal meeting with your team manager, leads, okay, and different stakeholder, and you can highlight that okay we have done this testing, these are the issues that we have identified, and you can have a group discussion and dig deeper that what could be the possible recommendation that you can give as a performance team. Okay, once you have it, then you can go have a discussion with the different stakeholders of the different teams, and do those changes. That's why it can also be a teamwork. But yeah, with time, you can, I mean, all the performance engineers, basically what you see, you will, I mean, it is required to have a good working knowledge. So when someone is hiring you for a performance engineer role, they will expect obviously that you should know performance testing concepts, or you should be good at scripting and all. But they will expect you to know the domain knowledge also, a little bit of domain knowledge, a little bit of SQL. Let's say today you're working in an environment which is all Unix environment. Okay, so how will you handle it then? So you should have that knowledge with you. Okay, I hope so. This concludes our performance life cycle. I hope it's clear. It makes sense that what is happening in in a performance life cycle. I mean, so whenever someone asks you, try to explain it in a much more detailed way, that okay, these are the 10 steps that I had to perform. That instead of try to explain why it is needed and how it impacts the project overall. Okay, I hope it's clear. Anybody has any doubt, they can ask. We'll move forward. I hope it's clear, right? No doubts, right? Okay, fine. So once we have finalized the project, okay, so we have understood the provision life cycle. Okay, these are the 10 steps that are happening in a project. Okay, I mean, these are steps that we need to perform. Okay, you can skip the steps also. Okay, so you can skip the steps, so it's not mandatory. Just one thing, that okay, you need to wait till your test plan is created. You cannot work on the design, or you cannot start working on the scripts. No, that doesn't happen. Okay, uh, let let's say you have all the information. I mean, you have done the NFR gathering, you have all the information with you. You can start working on the script development. Okay, just in the parallel also. So multiple activities can go in hand. But yeah, make sure that you have you are just following all the activities, so that you don't face any issues in the later time of the project. Okay, so let's move on to the next part. Okay, now how do what so we have understood that as a customer, when I'm going to the tailor, he is showing me the catalog, right? So the client has performance issues in the application. He's aware of it. Okay, he's aware of it, and he's having but he's not sure. He's not sure that how he's going to execute. I mean, somebody recommended that okay, you have to get their performance testing done in order to tune these particular components. Okay, and but he is not sure that how performance testing will be done. Let's say he's an entirely new client. Okay, so there are two possible scenarios that can happen. Okay, so it can be a client which is coming for the second and third time. So he's aware that what are the activity sets of activities that that we can will be performing. Okay, the information that will be requiring, and what are the components we can create an impact, we can improve the create a impact, or we can do the changes. Okay, so he is aware of it all. So he will be just giving us the information, and we can start working on that. Okay, and he is aware of all the process that is there. I mean, whatever is their process or the methodology that we will follow there, he is aware of it. Okay, then there is second scenario, who he is a completely new client. He is not aware of anything, so we have to give them a walkthrough. Basically, you have to explain it to them that how we are going to execute the test. Okay, so first thing, we have to explain them the performance life cycle. I mean, we are understood this, but you have to understand that you have to make them understand that what are the steps that we'll be performing. Okay, what are the steps that we'll be performing as a part of our testing life cycle. Okay, once that is done, we have to explain the process, basically, that this is the life cycle that we'll be following, but this is a process, this is how we are going to do the testing in an environment. Okay, let me expand this a little bit. Okay, so as a part of our NFR gathering, the first stage for our performance testing will be our NFR gathering. So if you look at this part, early environment and setup, basically. So in this part, we'll be doing a Just look it over here. Requirement script analysis, NFR definition, historic information, test strategy creation, and methodology. Okay, so at this stage we'll be defining the NFR, we'll be defining the performance test strategy. Okay, and we will define performance testing. SOW will sign off will happen. So by this stage we will gather we will call this stage as a closure, until unless we gather all the info. Will have the NFR signed, discussed, signed, agreed upon. Okay, test strategy decided, finalized, and agreed upon. And after this we will have a good picture that okay, these are these many effort will be taken, so we can have a SOW signer in which we'll be defining okay, we'll be certifying these 10 things. Okay, and it will cost this much, so and so all those things will be a sign off will be done at this stage. Once that is done, we have all the information with us. Okay, so we can go ahead and start working on the script development. Okay, so modular test script creation, local customized for test script with data, workload modeling, smoke testing. Okay, so once you have all the information, okay, then you can start working on the scripts. You can start working on the script, you can start working on the workload modeling. Okay, so workload modeling will be doing it in order to execute the test. Okay, so you can start working on the script, you can parallelly you can work on the workload modeling also. Okay, and once your script, let's say your work script is done. Okay, one more thing, data prep. Okay, so in this let's say you have you have come across a requirement there, you need to register a user. Okay, and you have to input the IDs, email IDs. Okay, and that email ID it should be a valid email ID. Okay, that should be a valid email ID. If it's a dummy email ID, we could have created anything, but that should be a valid email ID. Okay, so how do you create that? So you'll be needing some data. Okay, so you have to tackle all the challenges of data as well at this stage. Okay, now in this one, let's say if a data that which you can create, you can manage on your own, then it's good. Otherwise you have to involve the database team. Basically they will help you with that, they will help you with the data that you required. They might create a dummy data for your testing purpose and upload in the database. Okay, that can also done, but that depends upon requirement to requirement that how it can be done. But yeah, that needs to be addressed at this stage. Okay, once we have all the data, we have the script, we can do a light smoke test. Again, what I said, smoke test execution, a lightweight execution, just to see whether the LG machines that has been given to me. Okay, what is this LG machines? Anybody has any idea? I kept saying that.
Load generators.
Okay, so why it's a challenge? Why it's a challenge?
Because, for example, if in one of my project, I created script locally and it was working fine. But when I tried it from my LG machine, there was this proxy error which I was getting.
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
So, so to the people who are not who are new, so what happens is that the application that you are testing, basically. Okay, now that is a internal application, let's say. So if I'm doing a testing for Google, okay, and that application is developed for the Google employees. Okay, so I cannot access that application. The Google employees can only access the application. So what will happen, the Google will give me one machine. Okay, he will all the network level changes will be done, ports will be open, I will be we should be able to connect to those things. I will tell that in a methodology, you will understand that. But on a high level, I need a machine which is there in their internal network. Okay, and that application should be accessible, the machine. So first thing, I need a machine. Okay, I can call them, we call them as LG. We'll connect to that from our performance center, or let's say if you have a controller, we'll connect that machine to our controller or performance center. And when we are generating the load, the traffic will get generated from that machine which is there in their internal network. Next thing, it can happen that that machine that they have provided, that application itself is not accessible. Okay, that can happen, right? So you have to check whether that some proxy settings needs to be done, or some port needs to be open for that. Whatever the maybe network level challenges are there, that we can connect with the local IT guy and that we can get it fixed. So again, these are the issues. We cannot have it when we have to do the actual executions. Okay, or let's say the calculation that you have done. Okay, you think you know that okay, for 1 hour we need to execute this many transactions, let's say. Okay, so when you're executing for 10 minutes, you can do a small calculation around that as well, that saying, okay, if I need for 1 hour I'll be needing 100 transactions, so for 10 minutes I'll be needing this much transactions. And you can just put it up and just check whether the pacing calculation that you have done, that is correct or not. Okay, the results are getting generated or properly or not, the LGs is working properly or not, there is no space issues. Okay, all those things, whatever the possible error that can happen from a performance testing point of view, you cannot say tomorrow if any issue has come up, you cannot say to the client that, okay, I was not able to execute the load any test. Okay, because there was this issue from a performance testing team. Okay, I mean the issue which can be fixed by a performance testing we were not able to execute because of that. That should never happen. Okay, we, if it's an environment issue, it's an application issue, we can obviously highlight that. Okay, we don't have a control over it. I mean, we make them accountable also, obviously, that okay, you should have informed us and all those things. But yeah, we try to avoid as much as you can. If there are any coming errors coming from permissioning point of view, okay, that can be fixed, so that needs to be avoided. Okay, so if I just sum up that what is happening at this stage, we are doing a workload modeling and early performance test metrics. So by this time you will be setting up your environment as well. Okay, so you got your environment. Okay, by this stage you got your environment, you need a monitoring tool in order to monitor this application. If you're, or you need a good profiling tool, let's say Dynatrace, in order to give them the issues that basically share the more metrics in order to analyze any errors that are coming into the environment. That also will get set up at this stage. Okay, so and in this stage only you have to create the dashboards. Okay, you have to create a dashboard. You have to, when you are doing a small low text execution, you have to see that are you able to check, are you able to monitor the metrics or not. Okay, the metrics that has been shown, are you able to monitor that metrics or not. Okay, once everything is done, I mean, we are for sure 100% sure that okay, we are good to go for the actual execution. Next stage, we will move on to the next stage, which is text execution, and we will start testing the application. So let it be, I mean, so we will execute our load test. Okay, load test, instance, whatever kind of test that you have agreed upon. Then site testing from client side. So when I say client side, that means the machine which is there. So let's say I'm testing on application, I'm testing on application which is used by US users. Okay, that is not being used by Indian users, but I am sitting over here in India. Okay, so how will I test that application from a US location? So you will take the LG. So if it's like a open application, your company will have one machine. Okay, if it's a internal application which is their internal network, so you have to ask the app as a part of a NFR gathering. Only at that stage only these things will get finalized. Obviously your manager will immediately will know. So at that time only you have to ask them that okay, if it's an internal application, we don't have the access, you have to provide us a machine from which we can do our testing. So that machine will be there in US and will be generating all the load from the US only. Okay, from that LG machine we'll be directing all the load, so that we'll get the correct response. And we cannot say that okay, I'm doing a performance testing from India location and the users are from US location. That should not happen, because I hope you know that let's say there are data centers. So there are data center in India, there is a data center in Europe, there is a data center in US, there is a data center in Canada. Okay, now there's certain thing called latency it will be involved. Okay, so if I'm accessing the data center which is there in US, and if I'm accessing the data center which is there in Europe, which I'm accessing a data center which is there in India, where will I get the response first? Obviously from India. Okay, it has to travel less number of hop points. Okay, when it's going to Europe, it might go, has to go from, let's from whatever the hop points, I mean whatever the edge locations that they have defined, through that it is going, whatever it may be. So but yeah, it is obvious that if it's in India, the NS is the user is accessing the application from India, the latency will be will obviously be lesser. So you have to account all those things. You cannot have it saying that okay, I'm not able to meet my KPIs. I'm not able to meet my KPIs. I mean, the response time is going beyond 5 seconds, and you have been testing the application from India location, and although the users were there from, all the users were there from US location. Okay, so that should not happen. Okay, you should have that much of clarity at that point of time. And different kind of test only that we have mentioned: breakpoint, capacity test, okay, volumetric test, whatever the kind of test that that you have defined, you have to do it at the test execution. Next is this monitoring and reporting. Okay, next thing is monitoring and reporting. So at this stage, performance monitoring and deep dive analysis. Okay, so when I say deep dive analysis, a tool based, so you have executed a test. Now the beauty of this monitoring tools is very very simple thing, is that I have 10 things going on in my life. Okay, I can pay attention to, let's say, two things, three things, max to max four things at a point of time. Okay, but I will be missing out the six items which is happening in parallel. Okay, but if somehow I can go back in the past and I can have a look at it and then I can take a call on those things, it would be wonderful, right? So in a similar way, from a performance testing point of view, if you look at the this all this monitoring tool, what it does, it captures all the metrics. So you know that, okay, I'm testing this application, .NET application, or let's say my Java application or microservices. Okay, application. So these are the metrics that needs tuning. Okay, and I'd be needing to monitor these 10 things. Let's say you somehow miss some items. So post test, obviously will during the test you will be monitoring the test, you will be monitoring all the metrics. Okay, uh, but post your test you can spend some time, you can look in the each and every metric that you have configured in a depth, okay, with patience, and see whether it's according to the line or not. That means the way it is behaving the way it is supposed to behave or not. Okay, and you can create an analysis. So we have to be patient with this step. Okay, we have to be patient with this step, because the better analysis that you have, okay, the better tuning will happen. Okay, and so this stage you have to, I mean, you have to collect all the you have to gather all the stats, you have to gather everything, and you have to show it as I discussed. You have to, I mean, if you are a performance engineer level expertise, so you can obviously have a discussion, go ahead and have a discussion with the application team, share your finding. If you don't have that much level expertise, gather the stats, have an internal meeting, get it have a discussion within the team that what can be the possible resolution around this, and after that have a discussion with the application team, DevOps team, and take input from there and do the tuning. Okay, let's say we have done all these things, okay, and the results have come satisfactory. Okay, results are satisfactory, and we can go ahead and we can finalize. So text execution metric report, so we have to create the report, define the basically the testing that you have done, benchmark testing, and third certification. So you'll be certifying that, okay, these are the if you so when we are certifying, this is very important, guys. So you when you're what are you certifying here over here? We are saying performance certification, we are certifying, what are we certifying? We are certifying that under a given load, how much load it can be, whatever the metric that you have, let's say 30 users, so you will say 30 users. Okay, or let's say if you're defining under TPS, so 30 TPS with 30 TPS load with this configuration. So when I say configure, that means the environment that you have. So usually you have an environment which is some percentage of the production. You will not get, because obviously there's a hardware cost involved. So what client usually does, let's say I have 100 GB of RAM, they will give you 25 GB of RAM, like that. So usually it's 25% only. 25%, whatever the configuration is there in production or they are planning in production, that the configuration that you got will be 25% of it. Okay, you get that will be 25% for it, and you have to certify that. Obviously you have to they'll be extrapolating it in the future when they are doing it, but you have to certify that with this configuration, with this much hardware, I mean, hardware level configuration, software level configuration, software versions. Okay, so you have version deployed 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. Okay, so you have to certify that when I have certified the version currently deployed what 2.2. Okay, tomorrow they have done some deployment in the production that was not tested, and after deployment of 2.3 they are having a very very bad performance issues on all the environments. Okay, and they can come up and ask say that what kind of testing you have done, it's not correct. So I mean, we are having performance change in live production. So what your methodology was wrong. So you have to tell them that, sir, You can look at the certification that we have done. We have certified with this. I mean, you have to ask them obviously that what has changed and all those things. When you gather a stat, obviously you'll get to know that they have done some kind of deployment. The version is not the version that you have certified, okay, and that is not tested properly, and that's why you're having all these performance issues. So when you're certifying, you have to share all the hardware level configuration, you have to share all the software level configuration, software level versions, okay, all those things in your as a part of your certificate, saying that okay, with this configuration, with this software configuration, if the load is up to 30 users, the application will meet all these KPIs. Okay, so this is when I talk about the deliverables. Okay, so you can have a deliverable. So on a high level, if anybody asks you that in a performance testing process, what are the deliverables of a performance testing team, so you can tell them that performance test requirement, then the test plan, then performance test document, I mean their analysis report and certificate. Okay. You can look at this section also, reusable assets and templates. So this template, uh, again, if you are using, again, this is for the entirely new project. Let's say you have the customer is coming up again another round of testing. Okay, I mean they have done some deployment. So earlier you've done the testing for some 2.2 version. Now they are deployed they are upgraded the version to 2.3, and they want to get it tested. So obviously the client knows all these things. He has most they know what information you will be requiring. Okay, they, I mean, the point of contact that they have assigned earlier, they'll be knowing it, so they'll be gathering all the stats for you. So if I look at the templates, which templates, I mean the documents which I can reuse basically. Okay, so your questionnaire, so the questionnaire that you give for the performance of requirement, that can be used again. Then your master sheet. Okay, I will show the what is master sheet. Master sheet. Okay, what is a master sheet? The idea behind master sheet is very simple. Let's say I have to capture all the things which is there in this for testing this MFS application. Whatever data I need to have at a single place. You can have a repository also there also, but on a if it's a small project, I mean I cannot afford to have a good management tool. Okay, then how can I manage my project properly so that I don't face any issues? So you can use this master sheet. So this is a daily status mail. I will show you that what is this daily status mail tomorrow. But then the revision history, I mean what are the changes that has been done on the environment. Okay, then the application details. Okay, the environment details, the LR script status. Okay, the what are the business unit that you're testing, the transactions and what are their SLAs. Okay, the user details if you have any. Okay, then the LR script status. Okay, then workload modeling, and then the environment issues. Let's say you are having environment issue, you have to document that whenever you are facing that environment issue, and how it was fixed, who was the owner. Then your basically workload modeling again. Sorry guys. Then the LG machines, basically NG machine details. Then your latency, let's say you have configured some network latency, so from which hop point to which hop point you have configured. Then your test plan, your server details, your server KPIs, basically what are the server KPIs that you will be testing. So all those things you can document at this at the part of this stage. Okay, so it's a reusable document. So let's say when you are doing the next round of testing, again you are doing the next round of testing, I can refer this document, I can get most of the data. If any data is updated, I can update that as well. Okay, then the navigation flow. Okay, so the scenarios remain same. They have just upgraded the version, they have to want to get it tested, so the flow will remain the same, right? So I can use the flow navigation flow document again. Then the scripting template, you can use the same script also if they have not done much changes on the GUI part. Okay, they have not changed the URL and all, you can obviously use it. Okay, then and what are the, I mean these are the scripting standard best practices, previous release scripts obviously. Okay, then in the report analysis procedure and best practice. So In every organization there's a thing called center for excellence. Okay, so let's say you have a center for excellence in your organization, so they will set the standard practice. They will say that okay, if a report needs to be shared, this needs to be shared in this particular format. If a testing needs to be done, this needs to be done in this particular format. The process that we are talking about, the process that you mentioned, they define the process. Okay, that's what bifurcate one company to another company, how well you are doing your job basically. So what are the best practices that has been defined by them, you have to follow them. The guidelines for analysis, let's say they have defined that okay, if they can define a guideline on saying that okay, for a Java application, these are the 10 things that you should definitely check. Okay, obviously if they are like they are the experts. I mean the CEO is obviously consists of people who has worked like industry for 8 years, sorry. So they have a very good expertise on the different platforms, so they are aware. So they can create some checklist, you can refer that checklist. If obviously it can be 11 thing also, but yeah, if you're finding the issues in out of the 10 thing, then that is also very good. Then the best, they can define the best practice. So when you're working on a Java application, let's say these are best practices that you should follow for the optimum results. Okay, and guidelines around the analysis, guidelines around the test report creation, guidelines around the certification template, all those things, that's a reusable documentation. Okay, so this is how our performance testing projects are executed. Okay, um, tomorrow we will discuss about the methodology, that how actually we are going to execute the test. Okay, how I mean your script will trigger the test. I mean how you will create the script, how the text when your send performance center will come into the picture, what is load simulation, what is LGs, and all those things, what are the key focus area when we are executing the test. We will see this tomorrow. Okay, I hope it's clear whatever we have discussed. If any doubts, just let me know. Anyone? Manisha, Padma, Shri, Tasha, Shiva, Anurag, and Satish.
Yeah, hi Shaurya. It's clear, but like, is it a demo session or is it the day one after the demo? Like, I'm not sure because
Day one,
for
day
me
one,
it's the
day
first
one, day one.
session.
It's a
It's
day
the first
one.
session, right?
So yeah, correct.
Okay, right. So, as a prerequisite for this course, you mentioned in the website that we need to have the
Load,
LoadRunner like
load on,
experience
yeah, knowledge.
experience already.
Scripting knowledge.
Because
I don't expect a script. So my intention with this course is that someone who has learned LoadRunner, okay, they know how to create the script, but they don't know how to execute a project. Okay, so tomorrow you went to a project
oh,
and you'll be
okay,
struggling with
okay.
all these different
Because
things. Okay, so you should be able to execute.
yeah, yeah, actually, because I don't have any knowledge on testing or LoadRunner and nothing. So, do you think is it good for me to continue or no? Like, because
So
I
you
don't
have to
have any
create a
knowledge.
script. See, as a part of see, the thing is that we'll take one session. I mean, on Slowdunner, two session actually. So we'll be discussing
Okay.
about scripting part. But the problem is that let's say tomorrow you clear the interview also, and that I don't know the what kind of application that you get. Okay, at that time you will be struggling, because as a performance tester, if I show the performance test life cycle again, okay, I'll show you why I say this. Am I sharing? Where is that? Okay. So if you look at it, at this stage, manager will there. At this stage, your team leads are there. At this stage, you have a team, entire team helping you out, or the different teams. But this stage, you are alone. As a pastor, you are alone. Okay. So I mean, let's say your workload modeling also, your team leads are helping. But your test script development, okay, scenario creation also, scenario creation test script development is done by the performance tester. It's usually a individual task. Okay, and if you are having scripting challenges, then it will be a challenge. Okay, so if you have confidence that you can learn in the meantime, then definitely and go ahead and join the course. But as far as scripting expertise are concerned, you will not get in this course. You'll get a performance testing script expertise, that what are the prerequisite knowledge, extra knowledge that you require, someone should have in order to execute the test. That everything will be covered. As but scripting knowledge will not get in depth here.
What do you mean by scripting knowledge? Like, are you talking about Java scripting for the test scripts which we need to prepare or
Test
anything else?
test
Or
test scripts creation. Test scripts creation.
is it
So let's say
through
if I
like
tell you
Groovy or? or Java?
Using
Groovy or Java? Which
LoadRunner.
one are you talking about?
L- we are using LoadRunner actually. So for custom scripting,
Mhm.
we'll be using C. Java also we can use. That is not a issue. But yeah, I mean just explore the tool little bit. LoadRunner that which we'll be using.
Okay, so what do you suggest for me? Because I'm completely new to this testing and all. So what should be done? I don't have any scripting knowledge. I don't know what is I don't know load runner, but I know the concept of performance testing. I know
Okay,
how a
no
load runner
issue.
works. I know how a load runner works, but I never seen how is it working. But I know the concept. Conceptual wise, I know it.
So do one thing.
Yeah,
So today is Friday, right? Yeah, it's Friday, right?
yeah. For you,
No,
it's
today's
Friday. Yeah.
Thursday. Yeah. No, it's Thursday only. So do one thing. Take today's time. Okay, I'll give you the. I'll ping the chat. You're there in the group, right? I'll ping you the chat. I'll send one document. Okay. Um,
Okay.
test flow document. Okay, so you can
Okay.
refer the document aid you to record the
Mhm.
application. Just try to record it once using LoadRunner if and let me know. Okay, if you're able to record it, then that should be enough. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Manisha, you had
So
a question.
yeah, I had the similar question, though my question was like I'm not that new because I just started it like 2 3 months back, Load Runner. But I had similar question. Like I know how to record, and I think mostly it's like we are recording the application, and we
So you know
get the like
correlation and parameterizations, right? When do we do it? How do we do it?
yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah,
even
that's okay.
like just wanted to know like how difficult it is. Like if we want to learn it, so like how like how much
It's
time?
not
I
difficult.
know it
Nothing.
depends
Nothing is
on upon
nothing.
person to person,
Yeah.
but still,
It's
yeah. Because what
it's
I
not
have seen
difficult.
is, hmm
See, I'll tell you. I mean, the mindset. No, I mean, as a part of this, go. I tell this to people also that you should have a mindset of learning. Okay.
yeah,
Okay, I don't know today. Okay, let me learn it tomorrow. So if you look at the stage, let's leave it. I mean, as a performance, you should have that mindset in general. Okay, so if you are siloing yourself that okay, I have learned these two things, I'm good. So at
hmm
this stage, your progress will stop immediately. Okay, and if you look at the performance testing as a obviously everybody is trying to become a performance engineer, right? So you should have, when do you have that level expertise? Because you when work on different projects, when you work on different platforms, and when you're
hmm
working on that platform, you have to gather the knowledge. So let's say today you're working on a Java, so you should know what are the objects. Okay, what are the methods? You should have that clarity. When you're working on .NET application, you should have what technology. I mean, how do you basic knowledge, working knowledge. Okay, then when you're working on a microservices, how one microservice communicate with the other microservice, basic level. I'm not saying that okay, start doing the write a microservice, no, but yeah,
yeah,
working knowledge. So I'm not saying that today you have to learn everything, but with time you have to learn it. And so you should have that mindset, okay, if anything new is coming up, I have to learn it. So similar way scripting also happens. Let's say today you know that you have a issue, so I can ask one question saying that when do you use a regular expression? So we have Weblix pair MX, right? Regular
yeah,
expression.
yeah,
When do we
yeah.
use it? Okay. So let's say there was no requirement till now. Okay, there was no
hmm
requirement, but tomorrow you have a boundary. I mean, you have a left boundary, right boundary is not fixed. Okay, so you
Yeah,
have to use a regular expression to capture the exact value which you want to. So you write a regex expression, put it there, then capture it. So when you got opportunity, but the thing that I expect from you is that you should able to identify, okay, this is the issue, I have to use a regex, and you should be able to execute that. If you
correct.
have that attitude, no, things will
hmm
ease off immediately. Nobody can know everything. With time only we learn, but the ability to learn and execute immediately, that is what industry expect from every one of you.
Yeah, correct.
Mm. Okay, fine guys. Okay, let's continue tomorrow. Happy Independence Day, guys. Sorry, Republic Day, my bad. Thanks for joining.
Sorry. Yeah. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you.